You may remember a couple of days ago I made a video which urged people to send an email to their MPs to get them to this excess death debate that's going on the 18th. Well, that's tomorrow as this video goes out, the 18th of April. And it's absolutely vital that we get as many MPs to this debate as is possible so that they can see the evidence for the excess death that's happening all around the world, and in particular in this country. Now, a number of MPs, of course, have wanted to distance themselves from this, and the government itself has distanced itself, that almost denying that there isn't really a problem, or that the thing that we think is the problem or the cause of these massive numbers of people who are dropping down dead is nothing to do with something that was rolled out in 2021. But there's a lot of people who would like to see their MPs face the evidence. And so there was that email, and I copied and pasted the stuff in the description of the video. Well, it's still worth giving the MPs another push, because this is tomorrow and it's essential that we get them to see and, as I say, see the evidence. So I've been sent another email which is a little bit more hard-hitting, which may or may not make these MPs realise that actually they have a duty to go and attend this meeting. They are, after all, our servants, so they tell us, but they act very much like our masters. So I'm going to read that out, but I've also got a reply from a MP from the previous email that we were urging people to send, and I want to read that out. So let's crack on. So here it is. This is the email. Now, I'll try and leave either a link to the text or I'll put it in the description, depending on which is the easiest. And it goes like this. Dear MP, I am one of your constituents and this is my address. And if you want to send this to put pressure on, or to your friends, by the way, you could send this to your friends and neighbours and say, look, maybe you want to send this as well to the MPs to put as much pressure on them to attend this meeting. You may remember it says Mark Wilkinson posted you a spiral-bound 32-page extract of Ed Dowd's book, Cause Unknown, in October 2023, along with a letter outlining excess death data from the ONS. He also sent this to you by email, which he published on his Substack, and there's a link here to that. By way of representing me and other constituents' concerns, I would like to urge you to attend the debate on excess deaths this Thursday, 18th, at 2 p.m. in the House of Commons. Could I please possibly request as a courtesy that you reply and let me know if you're going, or did go if replying after the event? If you can't go, please let me know why, as unless you have a good reason, it will show that you do not care about your constituents dying prematurely. Ed Dowd's book, Cause Unknown, is a memorial compilation of photos and news articles reporting the unexpected deaths of hundreds and hundreds of young people in 2022 and 2023, many of them athletes. And I just want to pause there for a second, because I want to show you an excerpt here of some of the people that sadly died. These are the young athletes that across the world died. And in Ed Dowd's book, you've got this code here that you can flash with your phone to take you to the news story to prove that it's a genuine story and not just something made up. All these, I mean, there's just hundreds of them, and it goes on and on. It's a very heart-wrenching thing to see all these young, very fit people who should be alive, who have recently, sadly, passed away, mostly to heart attacks and very suspicious circumstances. And it just goes on. Anyway, I just wanted to show you that briefly. So that's what they're talking about. The email continues, there must be an investigation into what is causing the high levels of excess deaths that we've had in the UK and elsewhere since the end of April 2022. The most significant data is that during the first 16 weeks of 2022, from January to April, there were no excess deaths at all in the UK. Indeed, it was the opposite. And according to the ONS, there were 3,349 fewer deaths compared to the 2015 to 2019 5-year average. The data shows that at the end of April, the table suddenly turned from having fewer deaths to suddenly having over 20,000 excess deaths in the second 16 weeks of 2022 during the late spring and summer. The first 16 weeks of 2022 was during the winter and early spring, which is when the NHS is under more pressure than during the late spring and summer, which means that the NHS under pressure cannot be the explanation for the surge in excess deaths during the second 16 weeks of 2022. The first 16 weeks of 2022 were 10 to 13 months after the last lockdown at the end of March 2021. During this period, the after effects of lockdown were not causing excess deaths because there were none. The second 16 weeks of 2022 were 14 to 17 months after the last lockdown. How can the after effects of lockdowns and the NHS being under pressure suddenly decide to be responsible for a huge increase in excess deaths in the second 16 weeks of 2022 when they were not doing so during the first 16 weeks of 2022? It's quite straightforward to see that something other than the NHS under pressure and the after effects of lockdown caused the huge increase in excess deaths that occurred at the end of April 2022 and which has also continued since. This is why you must attend the debate. When replying, there's no need to address the issues raised here. I just need to know that you're going or did go to the debate so that I can inform everyone that I possibly can within our constituency. If you did not go without a reasonable explanation, I will shout this from the rooftops to everyone I possibly can within the constituency. I look forward to receiving your reply, ideally before the debate. Thanks a lot for being a representative. Thanks a lot for being a representative of all your constituents. You can't quite see that on the screen there. Yours faithfully, and that's where you would type your name. So a very hard-hitting email, I'm sure you'll agree, that is really urgent and urging the MPs to attend this very important debate. So what about the reply I had from one of my viewers that was from an MP? And what was her reasons for not going or intending not to go? Well, let's have a look. Dear Janet, she says, this is from the MP. Thank you for your email. Sadly, I will not be able to attend the debate due to pre-existing commitments in the constituency. I wonder what they are. I understand your concerns when you are looking at the numbers. ONS data published in August 2023 show that people who've had a COVID-19 vaccine have a lower mortality rate than those who have not been vaccinated. Although it's true to say that a high number of people who were vaccinated appear in excess death population, when 93.6% of the population have had at least one dose of COVID-19 vaccine, there will be a high number of vaccinated people in the excess death numbers. This is prevalence, not causality. It's important to look at the causes of excess deaths and to tackle them. Well, that's exactly what we're asking them to do by attending the debate, is to look at the causes. Anyway, the email goes on. As a reply to a public petition, Investigate UK Excess Deaths Not Related to COVID, the government has given the following answer. Our analysis suggests that it is likely that a combination of factors has contributed to an increase in the number of non-COVID excess deaths in the latter part of 2022, including high flu prevalence and health conditions such as heart disease and diabetes. There are a range of organisations reviewing the registered death figures. These produce different estimates of excess deaths based on different methodologies and areas covered. The government is taking steps to reduce excess deaths, including those which involve COVID-19. Vaccines remain the first line of defence against COVID-19. Antivirals and other treatments play a crucial role in protecting patients who become infected with COVID-19, particularly those for whom the vaccine may be less effective, such as the immunosuppressed. The Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, the MHRA, followed rigorous procedures to ensure the vaccines met the necessary high standards in safety and efficacy. The MHRA is one of the most respected regulators in the world, and I welcome that the World Health Organization not only backed its approach but also commended its work. Going forward, I strongly encourage eligible people to get their booster jab and their flu jab to protect themselves, their loved ones, and the NHS. God, blimey. The government intends to publish a major condition strategy to tackle conditions that contribute most to morbidity and mortality across the population in England, including cancers, cardiovascular disease, including stroke and diabetes, chronic respiration diseases, dementia, mental ill health, and musculoskeletal conditions. Thank you again for taking the time to contact me. Best wishes, Mrs. Flick Drummond, Member of Parliament. So that's the response we get from her, which is somewhat worrying, especially the continuation to encourage people to have that certain medical intervention, which may, it turns out, may be the cause of a certain thing that we were just talking about. Obviously, I'm dancing about for the algorithm of this platform, but you know what I'm saying. So that is, and it seems to me that is a typical response from MPs who are taking a back foot and want to distance themselves. They don't want to get involved. We have already seen, I think, nearly 100 MPs stepping down. After all, many of them know you can't hide the bodies. And I think we'll see some more of that as more of the data is coming out and the MPs realise that they may have been involved in something which is rather grotesque and, trying to carefully construct my words here, has been a major tragedy. I'll put it as lightly as that, but we all know it's far worse. And they may want to get out before the next election, who knows. But apparently Mrs. Flick Drummond is quite happy for you to go and take a certain medical intervention and potentially drop down dead suddenly. If you get a chance to urge your MP to attend this very important debate, then please persuade them one way or another. Get them there, or as it says in that one, sing from the highest wherever about the fact that they did not attend and were quite happy for people just to die suddenly in their constituency. Thank you for watching.